Welcome to another episode of Impact Yobe. This is where you get information about developmental issues in Yobe State, the pride of the Sahel. My name is Mark Otabo.
As part of strategies to tackle idleness and restiveness among youths, the Yobe State government has trained 85 youths in shoemaking. The 85 youths were selected from the 17 local government areas of the state. At the closing ceremony and presentation of startup kits to the beneficiaries, government officials stressed that the kits will enable them to start their own businesses and employ workers. The State's Commissioner for Wealth Creation and Employment Generation, Ajibula Rafa, emphasized that it will assist the beneficiaries.
The State, Honorable Maimala Bunisioen Churomam Gujuba, ably represented by His Excellency the Deputy Governor, Honorable Idi Berde Gubana Wazirin Fune, to this important occasion, that is the closing ceremony of the skill acquisition training on shoemaking organized by the Ministry of Wealth Creation, Empowerment and Employment Generation. I want also to welcome all our distinguished guests. It is indeed worthy to state here that the present administration, under the dynamic leadership of our amiable leader, His Excellency Honorable Malabuni Soen, has always considered it a path of duty and honor, deliberately chosen to dent the poverty structure, address unemployment, and support businesses in our dear state. Hence, this resolve to create this ministry. Some of the mandates of the ministry include: 1, creating new opportunities and developing strategies to support business growth and sustainability.
Governor May Malabuni, who was represented by his deputy, Idi Berde Gubana, said the initiative is a strategy to reduce poverty in the state.
When shoemaking for 85% drawn from the 17 government areas of the state, organized by the Ministry of Wealth Creation, Empowerment and Employment Generation. This training workshop is part of a series of empowerment programs being implemented by administration through the ministry in order to equip our students with skills in various vocations as a means of creating employment and self-reliance among the people, thereby reducing poverty and idleness among the youth. This initiative is therefore aimed at addressing the urgent need to equip more individuals with vocational skills to enhance business activities in the state. This gathering may agree with me that we have been demonstrating our commitment to overcome the multifarious developmental challenges facing our dear state in the post-insurgency era within the scope of limited resources at our disposal.
Governor Boni appealed to the beneficiaries to put the skills acquired to good use and for the benefit of humanity to justify the financial resources spent on the training.
My solemn belief that every individual with the right skills and equipment can prosper in any vocation, given the right businesses, atmosphere, and economic opportunities, both of which our administration has been striving very hard to provide for the benefit of our people. As such, let me use the opportunity to enjoy the beneficiaries of this training workshop to diligently put the skills learned into use with dedication and commitment to justify the resources that were expended in their training and the start-up kits that will be given to them to commence their businesses. It is also expected that beneficiaries will over time cascade the skills learned at this workshop towards their apprentices so that as many youths as much as possible will also benefit from your skills, since you are all expected to become employers of labor in the short term. Such transfer of knowledge and skills, if diligently undertaken, may spread throughout the state, and the result will be increase in the number of youth that will become self-reliant which we are all focused on achieving.
Following recent allegations by an online media outfit against Yobe State government over zero allocation to basic and secondary education, the state government has responded that it has made significant investment to revamp the sector. The State Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, Abba Idris, and Secretary to the Yobe State Government, Baba Malam Wali, made the clarification during a media tour by members of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ. The media tour was spearheaded by the chairman of the NUJ in the state, Rajab Mohammed. After the tour, they highlighted investment made by the state government in education facilities and urged journalists to verify veracity of stories before publishing.
If you could remember vividly, there was a report, going around the social media that says there is a kind of a zero allocation from the education sector, which is honestly a very false report. We as a media personnel or a media staff, what is expected of us is to balance our story. We should not always rely on hearsay. That's the essence of me organizing this media tour, to go around and see things for ourselves. We are in Guru, Igeshua, Potiskum, Damagum, and Damatru. And we saw the level of project executed from this government, most especially from the education sector. We saw the renovation of classes, we saw the renovation of halls, we saw the renovation of biology and chemistry laboratories, and the furnitures which were purchased by the state government. So honestly speaking, this administration of Governor Malabudi deserve a commendation.
The secretary to the state government also addressed journalists on how the Boni administration is investing in education sector.
His Excellency also presented before the House, which will, after signing into law by 2025, all of these senior secondary schools will be provided with electricity in terms of solar electricity, all the classrooms, dormitories, libraries, computers, and all other facilities, administrative blocks will be provided with solar, so that people in this secondary school, students in this secondary school, will have very good conducive learning environment, and they can go and read throughout the secondary schools. Once this has been done, it is there in the secondary school and in the report, in the budget provided by His Excellency in 2025 before the House. Before the end of the year, all this, once this provided, will provide the conducive learning environment for all our pupils in secondary schools, apart from the street lighting and other activities going on within the secondary schools. So a lot of development has gone on, is going on in the secondary school sector. The secondary school education, basic and secondary school education is the bedrock and the foundation for everybody, for education. Without good foundation in the basic and the secondary school, there will be no good education across the in the state. And finally, you are also aware that His Excellency has supported all our tertiary institutions. The University, Yobe State University, currently we have over about 12,000 students in Yobe State University. All of them, most of them, 90% of them are indigenous of Yobe State. Almost 90% of all the 12,000 students currently, our 12 to 13,000 students currently in Yobe State University are indigenous of Yobe State. We have students in all the secondary tertiary institutions, the College of Education Geshua, we have the College of Education and the Legal Stations in Guru, that of Federal Polytechnic, State Polytechnic in Gaidam, College of Agric, and all other institutions, that of Potiskum. All these are being supported and being provided, and all of them, as I tell to you now, they don't have any courses that have not been fully accredited by their supervising agencies, either the National Board of Technical Education or the National Commission for Colleges of Education or any other. So they are all full accreditation in all these institutions.
In an interview with Impact Yobe Crew, the State Commissioner for Secondary and Basic Education, Abba Idris, described the online media allegations as baseless and untrue.
You don't need to respond to such allegations when you know they are baseless, because most of the allegations are preposterous. How can somebody say the entire education system of the state to run from January to November without spending a penny? You know, one of the major things that we need to look at, sometimes the investment in education sometimes are not visible if they are not clearly mentioned to people. For example, in feeding program alone, Yobe State government has spent over 3 billion naira just for feeding. You know, in our system, the secondary schools in Yobe State, students are fed 3 square meals. So imagine we have about 700 schools that are boarding schools with feeding program. This feeding taking place every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we have several renovations programs that consumed over 1.7 billion naira. About 1.7 billion naira has been spent on renovation, you know, in various places, renovating junior secondary schools, senior secondary schools, and supply of instructional materials. And some of the key points I want to reiterate here is that when you look at the scholarship program of Yobe State government alone, that's quite okay for you to note that the government is doing what many states are not doing. For example, over 1 billion naira has been spent on registration of WAEC and NECO for our students. You know, according to the system in Yobe State, you know, His Excellency Honorable Mai Malabuni has made education to be completely free. Primary school, junior secondary school, and senior secondary school. And when these students are completing their secondary school, even the registration of WAEC and NECO are completely paid by the state government. For this year alone, as I said, over 1 billion naira has been spent for the registration of WAEC and NECO. When you look at the other aspect of the scholarship, for example, we have Nigeria Tulip International College, NTIC. This is a different system where Yobe State government is selecting at least 10 candidates from every local government every year to be fully sponsored. Each child the government is paying at least 1.5 million naira, and we have 890 students. So when you calculate, it's about 2 billion naira annually spent on this scholarship.
He also shares more light on the issue of enrollment of students in schools across the states.
One of the key priorities given by the state government is to make sure that we boost enrollment, retention, and completion. Sometimes you may have the enrollment, but retaining them is a different case. But what we have, the policy we have, is to make sure that we have enrollment and also the retention and completion. For example, these mega schools and model schools that were built, 7 of them each were built by the state government. And each of them were fully stocked with students. The students were enrolled right from JSS1 up to JSS3. And also the same thing goes to the primary school section. And another point to be noted for the enrollment is that the enrollment does not stop at primary school only. Because His Excellency Honorable Mai Malabuni has established 10 senior science girls secondary school. And they were, you know, students were fully enrolled, and the schools are now running on. One of the key points that I want to highlight here is that our effort in making gender equality. All these 10 senior science secondary schools are predominantly girls' schools, because we realize that most of the out-of-school children and those that are dropping out are adolescent girls. So with this, His Excellency brought the idea of at least initiating or establishing 10 more secondary schools for female students in order to make sure that the number of out-of-school children have been reduced to the barest minimum.
Welcome to this wonderful interview segment on Impact Yobe. Today I have with me the Executive Secretary of the Yobe State Scholarship Board, Dr. Abubakar Kago. Good to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Now, Doctor, quickly, I will want you to tell us more about the recent scholarship programs put in place by government to accommodate the Yobe indigenes.
When you say recent, I think I'd rather talk about what the scholarship system is in Yobe since the coming of His Excellency Honorable Malabuni. Right. And what we began with was to draw a comprehensive and far-reaching scholarship system where we think after more than a decade of crisis and insurgency, scholarships should be purposive. demand-driven in a way that there will be part of this revered idea of resettlement, rehabilitation, reconstruction, and the future of Yobe as a state and a community. So we developed what is called the RETS, recovery through education and scholarships framework, which is Governor Buni's idea of using scholarships as a way of recovery and development. And that system has continued to yield results since 2020. And as I speak to you, at present, apart from those that started around 2020, 2021, doing their postgraduate courses, we have about 300, to be precise, 371 students across 16 countries of the world, including the United States, the United Kingdom, Turkey, Russia, China, India, and a lot of other countries. And demand-driven in the sense that these students on scholarship are pursuing various areas of discipline that we think are imperative in our drive towards recovery and development. So, but for what we did recently is we just concluded the payment of domestic scholarships. Okay. We have 38,183 beneficiaries across colleges, universities, and polytechnics in the country. And yeah, the system of scholarship in Yobe is, of course, we have those in foreign lands and those at home. And those at home are given bursaries, and those in foreign land are being paid their tuition, their accommodation, and other expenses as they continue to pursue their studies abroad. So I think Yobe arguably has the most robust and comprehensive scholarship system in the whole of this sub-region and probably in the country, in the sense that, like I said, almost every Yobe indigent that is studying in either a university, a polytechnic, or a college in Nigeria benefits from scholarships. And then we have one of the largest number of students studying outside the country. So it is a huge investment, but then the most beautiful part of it is that His Excellency Governor Malabuni has never relented. In fact, he's always been encouraging that this system should be sustained because it is, to him and to all of us, the most lasting legacy of all the legacies he is poised to leave behind. Because, of course, you know what a literate society is, and you know what the future of a society will be with education and without education. So essentially, that is our focus. That's the focus of His Excellency, and we're doing our best to see that we play our part in making Yobe a better place.
Now, run us through the engagements with foreign universities.
Yes, like I said, we presently have 371 students across 16 countries, and we get feedbacks from the universities, we get feedback from the students. Our engagement with the universities is to ensure that they give the student the best, both in their academics, and of course we have a lot of paramedic students that go to do, and engineering students that go to do internships, they go to hospital to do stuff. So our engagement has been cordial, and so far so good. The feedback we're receiving from these universities, the feedback we're receiving from the students, the feedback we're receiving from the parents seem to suggest that our objective is on track. And it will also interest you to know that we're graduating 191 students.
Wow.
Yes.
191?
191 coming from abroad.
Wow.
The better equation, of course, are coming from India. We have some that are coming from Egypt. Some, the ones that are graduating from Egypt, most of them are coming as medical doctors. The ones that are graduating from India, we have those that are doing optometry, medical laboratory technology, civil engineering, petroleum engineering, pharmacists, optometrists. So it's quite a demand-driven, purposive approach
The governor's commitment, you know, to this, because this is quite capital intensive, I would want you to also give us a bit of insight into how His Excellency has been, you know, being the backbone of this, making this possible.
Well, the truth is, I don't think any of this could have been possible without his unrelenting support. His support, his encouragement is quite unwavering. Like, as the Executive Secretary of the Board, there had never been a time that I brought before His Excellency a legitimate demand that he questioned. No. He's always willing, always ready. Sometimes he asks, is there any problem? Is there any way that you think more support is needed? And anytime there's support, and it does not matter whether I go to him in the office or I meet him informally, he's always willing to listen. And it's been like that over the last 4 years that I've been the Executive Secretary of the Board. So to have all the entire Yobe indigenes in the country being paid scholarship, then have a huge number of Yobe indigenes abroad being paid, and there had not been complaint anywhere of maybe students being stranded abroad because they've not been paid their stipend, they've not been paid their tuition and so on. We've never had that case. So, but then, of course, you know, each and every recommendation that we forward had to be approved by him. So it means someone is doing the work somewhere. Someone is approving everything we're doing somewhere, and that is His Excellency. And another thing that would interest you is, apart from the law students that we're talking about, of course we have medical students in the country. Do you know that each student, each Yobe indigene that is studying medicine in Nigeria is being paid 42,000 naira monthly by His Excellency? Monthly. For each medical student. And for nursing students, I think they have been paid about 10,000, 20,000 or thereabout. But that's coming directly from the Ministry of Health. So it's a system that is supporting education at all levels, and trying to see that once a student has the opportunity, that opportunity does not slip off his hands because maybe his parents cannot afford to continue his education, or he doesn't have guardians that will support him. That is the way our system has been for quite a while, and we hope to sustain it, even though, like I said, it's very capital intensive, but that's what we hope to sustain.
Now, is there a structure in place to ensure that regardless of who comes into power at any point in time, this particular scheme keeps going on?
Well, tomorrow is not easily predictable, and tomorrow is not promised. But then I believe, and I have a strong conviction, that whoever is going to come tomorrow should be able to look back at what was achieved through this system and what he intends to achieve by the programs he's going to put in place. But then, wisdom should tell anyone that will come tomorrow that there is no legacy that's better than the legacy of education. If you have a literate society, then you have a society that is bound to be prosperous. If you want to destroy a society, then do not pay attention to education. It's as simple as that.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, of course, education is a lasting legacy, and of course, according to Dr. Abubakar Kagu, if you want to destroy everything, then do not pay attention to education. This has been quite remarkable, and I must say this is quite masterclass from the governor himself, the commitment to ensuring that the indigenes of Yobe State gain from this beautiful scheme, and of course, across board for those who are engaging in different disciplines to ensure that Yobe State gets to the next level.
And that's all we have for you on today's episode on Impact Yobe. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the program. I am Mark Otabo. Goodbye for now.